Alright guys, good morning. Today we're going to be talking about ordering rationals. And if you remember, a rational is a fraction, a decimal, and a percent. So we're going to talk about a problem where you have to put all of these different things in order. So that makes it kind of confusing because, well, that's a fraction, that's a decimal, and that's a fraction, and that's a percent. And so it's kind of hard to see which one is bigger than the other when they all look so different. So I'm going to give you guys 3 strategies that you can use when ordering different rational numbers. Okay, so the first option would be to convert all of your rationals into equivalent fractions. And we've actually done notes on this. If you turn back in your notebooks, you should have that page tagged. It looked like this page. So one option is to make all of these be a fraction with the same denominator. And here to help me out today, I brought a special friend from home. This is Ella's favorite stuffed animal.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Meowth.
Mrs. Meowth. This is Ella's favorite animal.
I'm a kitty, and I am a Mrs. Meowth. Meow.
All right, very descriptive name, thanks. And you're going to help us today with some math?
Why, certainly. I love eating mathematics.
Right, you love eating things. Okay. All right, Mrs. Meowth, so what's the first thing we need to do for our problem?
You need to turn them all into equivalent fractions.
Right, so let's check out each of my numbers and see how I'm going to make them into a fraction. Hey, don't lick me. Okay, so for my first fraction, a half, I know that a half is equivalent to 100 because if you multiply 2 times 50, you get 100.
So therefore, you need to multiply 1 times 50.
And we would get 50 over 100. For my decimal, 78 hundredths, I just say it how it sounds, 78 hundredths.
Hello, so you would write 78 over 100.
Very good, Mrs. Meowth. All right, and then for my last two, I know that 3/5, I would multiply 5 times 20 makes 100, and 3 times 20 makes 60. And then for 35%, a percent is just going to be the number over 100.
So now that you have all of the fractions, you can compare them.
Very good. So I have 50 over 100, 78 over 100, 60 over 100, and 35 over 100. So the smallest would be 35. Next would be 50, and then 60 and 78.
That is correct.
Don't lick the kids at home, Mrs. Meowth. All right, so my next option is going to be option 2, and that is convert all the numbers to decimals. And you would refer back to this page right here. This page is our notes where we talked about turning fractions into decimals and looking for the factors of 100. So I know that 1/2 is going to be 50 cents. If I look back over here, 50 over 100 is 50 cents. My next one, 78 hundredths, is already as a decimal, so I can leave it alone. 3/5, I know that 1/5 is 20 hundredths, so 3/5 would be 60 hundredths. And then 35%, you would read that like it's money. So 35% would be 35 cents. So once you have all of the numbers to be decimals, you can just pretend like they're money. And which one is biggest and which one is the smallest?
35 cents would be the smallest.
Or 35 hundredths, however you want to say it.
Then would be 50 hundredths, 60 hundredths, and 78 hundredths.
Okay, Miss Meowth, you can't be licking the kids every single time. They're not going to like that. All right, and then my third option is going to be to convert all of the rationals to be, whoa, I wrote the wrong number on here. Not fractions, convert them all to be percents. Sorry about that, guys.
You made a mistake.
Yeah, it's not the first time. All right, so to convert all of them to percents, so we already have the decimals, so 50 hundredths would be 50%, 78 hundredths would be 78%, 60 hundredths would be 60%, and 35 hundredths would be 35%. So once you have them all as percents, you can kind of see which one's the biggest and which one's the smallest. So whatever option you use depends on what kind of numbers you have. If you have like 4 fractions and 1 decimal, you probably want to turn them all into fractions because you have more fractions to deal with. Personally, I like option 3. I like percents better than fractions and decimals, but really it has to deal with your own preference. So last step, let's look at what these look like on a number line. Okay, so on a number line, I have 0 here and 1 here, and the one whole is going to be 100%. And let's order these up. So I had a half, that's 50%. I had 78 hundredths, and that was going to be 78 over 100, and that would be at 78% right here. And then I had 35%, which would be right about over here. We said that was 35 over 100. And then we had 3/5, which was 60%, and that would be right about over here, 60%. So there's my order from least to greatest. All right, guys, you can go ahead and watch tomorrow's video on YouTube. I'm gonna post Edmodo's videos one day at a time. But if you want to go ahead and watch the next video, it'll be on YouTube later today. Thank you.